Supreme evening. I would like to offer much gratitude for you stopping in for another episode of Blunt Talk. If you are under 18, please get permission from your parents to participate in this episode. I'm telling you now that it may be some triggering things in this episode, but here we go. I want to talk to you about suicide and my encounters with it. Not necessarily about myself, but my encounters with others and it. So my first encounter, I could say I was probably going to Stubbs Elementary. And, you know, when you come home from school, you got to use the bathroom. So usually that was my routine. My mom would usually be inside of her room. So this particular day, I come home from school, drop my book bag down, run into the bathroom, and it is blood everywhere. Like, I mean everywhere. All over the sink, all on the floor, on the tub, on the toilet. I'm just like devastated, but I still have to pee. So, you know, I do the stoop thing and I use the bathroom and I'm like, where the fuck did all of this blood come from? Like, I was so confused. So, I wash my hands, I go beating on my mom's door, she doesn't answer. So I open the door and I go in and I'm creeping and I'm like not knowing what I'm going in to see. I'm like, is she gonna be unalived? I don't know what I'm about to see. So I'm like nudging her, mom, she don't answer me. I'm like, mom. Eventually she's like, what? And I look and both her arms are wrapped. And that's when I realized, you know, she tried to unalive herself. And I'm just like, what happened? And she was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I meant to clean it up. That was really so selfish of her, for one, to try to unalive herself, knowing that I was there by myself. It was just me and her. And for two, to not even clean up the mess. Like, you knew I was coming home from school. I was just so devastated. I didn't know what type of event I was going to run myself into at this moment. So you can imagine as a child in elementary school, knowing that your mom's the only person that lives there and this is what you come home to, right? Now these are just as far as I could make myself remember because I don't want to keep, you know, going back. So then I want to go into Kirk Middle School. Now I'm not using names because, you know, people are still alive. And this guy, oh my gosh, he was such a good friend. He was really a good friend. Everybody, like almost everybody, I'm gonna say, was friends with him. But he was broken, and we all knew that. Who wasn't? But we didn't know what to the extent. And a lot of his fear of his parents were about his grades. So we really didn't think that it was that severe. But we did know that he would go crazy if he got a C. And we were like, a C? You know, we're happy for those. You know what I mean? And because he was like a really good AB student. And it was just crazy. And this one day he told a whole bunch of us that he was going to kill himself, unalive himself when he got home from school, and nobody believed him. But some of us did, I'm going to say that. And some of us even tried to say something to teachers and all, and they were like, oh, he's not going to do that. And I'm going to get to the point I'm making at the end of all of this, right? So he goes home, and unfortunately, he unalived himself. He shot himself in the head at that age, 7th grade, Kirk Middle School. Like, devastating. The whole school was in shambles. Even people who didn't know him, it was just crazy. So that's something that we had to deal with at that young age and at that young time. And of course, we're just like, you know, what could we have done? And I don't know. I just don't know. like I said, as kids, we didn't even know the severity that he was actually going through at home, and that was just that, that was just that. So then I want to fast forward, I'm sure other things happen, but these are just really bad, significant things. So when, I could put a time on this one, 1998, because I was in the hospital having my son. I had a cousin, well, she's still alive. I have a cousin, and at the time, she was faking a pregnancy, but no one knew. But I was actually pregnant with my second child, and, she was really in love with this guy, and I'm pretty sure he's going to watch this. I'm pretty sure she's going to watch this, but I'm not using any one of your names, so whatever. But she was really in love with him, and I guess that relationship was about to end, or I don't even know what the turn of events happened to make her fake a whole pregnancy with twins, but the whole family had a baby shower for her and everything. I mean, I wasn't there, but they did, because I've been suspicious of the thing. I was like, where's the ultrasound? Because now I'm 2 kids in, so I know how this kind of goes, and she's not showing any signs of any of that stuff. Where's your vitamins? And I guess she just goes out and just gets any vitamins. Let's make the appointments at the same time since we're both pregnant. I want to be involved with you and all that because, it was my little cousin, and it was her first kids, and it was twins, and it was so crazy, right? So, I'll never forget, my water broke early, so I was in the hospital. And I was like bedridden, and back then technology wasn't like that. So when your water breaks, they used to put this, insert a tube in to keep the water flowing. Ugh. So unhygienic, but yeah, that's what they used to do. But so I'm talking to her on the phone, and it just, I'm not going to say it felt weird because we were having a normal conversation, and then I felt this energy, and I'm not going to say it was masculine or feminine, but it was strong, and it was like, ask her, what did she take? And I was like, huh? And the energy repeated itself, and I was like, so-and-so, what did you take? And she was like, huh? What are you talking about? So now it was getting to where I could tell she was slurring, and I knew she took something. So I'm like, so-and-so, you took something, and tell me now, what did you take? And then she goes into, oh, I can't take it no more, and I lied about the babies, I'm not pregnant, and everybody's gonna be so disappointed, and I don't know why I did it, but the more and more she's talking to me, like her voice is going down and down and down. I'm like, so-and-so, tell me what you took. So then eventually she told me she took a whole bottle of a narcotic. And I'm like, who's there with you? And she tells me it's her stepdad. So I'm like, what's his number? And I remember I have it in my phone because of my aunt. So I call him, he's not answering. I'm in the hospital, mind you, bedridden, like with a tube inside my vajayjay. So there's nothing that I could really do. Like I can't just jump up and pull it out. So I hit the button for the nurse, and I'm telling her what's going on, and she was like, she was like really absent-minded. I guess she was just worrying about her job, which is nothing wrong with that. And she's probably looking at me like, bitch, you crazy. What are you talking about? So I did the next best thing, and that was to call 911 on the 3-way. So I dialed 911, and I got them on the phone with her, and she's not talking to them, and she's just like, So I'm like, well, she's still alive, she's still breathing, can somebody get there now? So I give them the address, and they get there, right? So I'm still not understanding why her stepdad's not answering his phone. Like, he's right there. So the ambulance people are beating on the door, and they're on the phone with us. Like, they have us connected because 911 was still talking to us while we were waiting for them to get there. So now 911 contacted them, and they're saying no one's opening the door. So now we're all on the phone together. And I'm still trying to call said stepdad from my cell phone because he's still not opening the door for them to get to her, and she's fading away while I'm talking to her. So they're like, the only way we can get in here is if we break this door down. So I'm like, oh man, now my grandmother, she's gonna fucking kill me because I'm about to tell them to break this door down. But it's either break down the door or allow my cousin to die. I don't even know what's going on at this point because, like I said, I'm at the Christiana Hospital dealing with my own situation. So I said, fuck it, chop the door down, do what you gotta do, just get in there to her. So yes, they did get her, and yes, she's still alive. Of course, she was mad at me or whatever, but whatever, I don't care. So now I have to go to the next scenario. And now I know this sounds crazy, like, damn, how come she has all these situations? But maybe all this stuff happened to lead up to the last thing, and I'll get to that. So the next thing was this lady, she lived in the neighborhood we all grew up in Newark. And mostly all of us loved her, like, especially if anyone dealt with her kids. Of course they loved her because she was just like another mom. And I would brush her hair and shit. She had the hair all the way down here. It was really her hair. She wasn't of my descent or anything like that, but whatever, it doesn't matter. We still loved her to death. She was, pardon me, like I said, a mom to a lot of people other than her kids. So as an adult, I was into a couple things that I probably shouldn't have been into, of course, but it molded me to who I am, so I'm not ashamed of any of it. So this one particular time, she hit me and she's like, can you get me such and such? And I'm like, no, this isn't what we're doing here, you know what I mean? So she's mad at me and she's cussing me out, and it turned into a really big thing, and she hung up on me. Now, I know we're not really personally responsible of other people, but knowing that I knew her state of mentality and stuff like that, I probably should have checked on her instead of being angry and getting into my emotions, because I had no real reason to be angry other than her cussing me out. But I should have been thinking, like, well, what is she going through that she's even calling me to ask me for so said thing, right? And I didn't even try to put two and two together, but within like 2 hours, my friend at the time, which was her daughter, she used to be my best friend, and she's calling me, telling me, can you meet me at the hospital? My mom shot herself in the head, and I'm just devastated at this point because I'm like, what the fuck? Is it because I didn't get her such and such? And, so for the longest time, and she did succumb her injuries, so she ended up unaliving herself, and I just felt like, why was I even involved in that, Of course, I loved her and everything, but I lived a little while there thinking that maybe I could have saved her, or maybe if I had gave her such items or found it for her that, maybe she would have did that and just been fine and like, oh, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore, but I don't know that. So now I need to get to the last thing. I have a friend that eventually succumbed to unaliving herself. So we're on the phone and we're talking. Now, mind you, before she even attempted this one, she's done attempted many a times in a different neighborhood, but she moved and, things were looking better for her. But of course, when people are already going through emotional things and they never get help, it still goes with them. I don't care what they look like on the surface. I don't care. It still goes with them. So, she's at this new place and we haven't talked in a while, so we get reconnected and everything, and it's great. Kids are all together and playing again, and everything's just great. It just seems like, the best thing ever. So one day we're on the phone talking, and her baby boy was asleep. She had 4 sons, and her baby boy was asleep, and she's like, I'm about to take a nap while he's asleep, and everybody else is in school, so this is the perfect time for me to get some rest. And I'm like, you know what? That's right. Do that. Get some you time. That's self-care. I'm going to talk to you in a little while. Not even a minute, not even 30 seconds after we clicked, that energy, neither masculine or feminine, but it was very powerful, said, get to her now. I'm saying, why? She's about to unalive herself. The energy's so clear. You hear me? So clear. So at the time I was married, so I'm like telling my husband, we gotta go right now. And he's looking at me like, what? And my kids are looking at me like, are you okay? You good? You cool? Because, I started taking cannabis and they probably thought I was tripping the fuck out. They don't know. Well, not the kids, but my ex-husband anyway. But he was like, you good? You cool? He was cooking. And I was like, you have to stop that right now. We got to go. So we go. I'll explain to you in the car. So I'm telling him what I'm hearing. Now he looking at me like, this girl crazy, but all right, I'm with her. I'm going to go with her. So we get there, and I'm just at the door, and I'm knocking. Then I hear the energy again, because I'm ready to kick the door in, because nobody's answering. Because remember what the energy told me, and I'm like, oh, my God, nobody's answering. This is crazy. I'm ready to kick this bitch in. And I'm texting her, because I wanted to be a track record on this phone that, listen, I feel like you're harming yourself. I'm ready to kick this door in if you don't answer, because I didn't want to get in trouble for kicking the door in, right? So the voice says, turn the knob. I turn the knob, it opens. Whew, I didn't have to kick the door in. And it's so crazy because the energy led me straight to her, right to the basement. And there she was, a blue, hanging, looking like a Smurf. And it was so crazy because for the longest time, after she was still fine and talking to me and everything, that's all I could see was her blue face, right? But, so I'm like, oh my God, I'm in such an emotional state. And I'm looking at him, get me something to cut her down. We have to get her down. So he runs upstairs and gets a knife. He comes back down, he cuts her down, and we lay her down. And I'm just so emotional that I don't even think. I'm just start crying, and I'm like, why did you do this? And why didn't you just ask me for help? I was just talking to you, and my ex-husband's looking at me like, what are you doing? I said, what do you mean? He said, you know what to do, help her. I was like, at that moment, I just snapped like, oh shit, you're right, I do. So I just started giving her CPR and stuff like that, and then she started breathing again. But the whole time, he was on the phone with 911. And the only thing I didn't like about that situation is I didn't like any of it, but once they got there, they started treating us like we're the ones who tried to unalive her, They wouldn't allow us to even see her in the hospital or anything. It was just crazy. So, she eventually got out, and I don't agree with that because clearly she needed help. And like I said before, that wasn't her first time. That was her first attempt in that manner of hanging herself, but she's had other attempts, other cry outs. She's then said it out her mouth. Like, we knew. Her mom knew. Other people knew before me. Before me and her were even close, people knew. This is the point I'm trying to get to, right? So while she was in the hospital this time that she attempted to unalive herself and I saved her life, her mom helped her get out. I don't care if you're mad at me, I haven't used your name, but she actually helped lie to the people and said she was fine, knowing that there was other attempts when she should have helped her daughter. And I'm gonna call it being selfish because that's just what it is. I don't care the reasoning, whether you didn't want to watch the kids or whatever you want to call it. It was just selfish because now, let's fast forward to a year after that of me helping her. Oh, wait, let me back up. And half of the time she was happy. Oh, thank you for saving my life. Blah, blah, blah. I love you. And then other times it was like, fuck you, bitch. I hate you. Why didn't you just let me die? But mind you, the whole time, all I could see in her was blue. I never seen her skin color again, right? And I had to explain that to her, like, you're cussing me out. And what you need to understand is, even though you're here talking to me and I'm seeing you, I still see you in that state. It's really hard for me not to see you like that. And this is just crazy, you know what I mean? You're not grateful. She's like, sometimes I am and sometimes I'm not. So I didn't know how to take that as a person, period. I don't know. So then, A year later, she actually unalived herself in the same manner and in the same basement that I helped her from. And that depresses me because, I'm not going to say it depresses me, it hurts me because everybody was in a position to help her when she was saved that last time. But everyone she lived with and her mom and all them who had the power, because like I said, they wouldn't even allow me and my ex-husband into the hospital to see her. But they let others. So I guess it was the skin color. I don't know. But they let others, and it was their responsibility, to be honest, and to get her the help she needed, and they didn't. So eventually she caused all these problems with everyone, and I kind of feel like I failed her in a way because I should have known what it was she was doing when she was making up shit, and even if she wasn't making it up, it just came out the blue. And then it's just like she made sure she broke every connection with everybody, and then that time she actually unalived herself. It was just crazy. So I'm saying this to say, check on people. We always say we love people, we care about them. We want them to be this, we want them to be that, we want them to do this, we want them to do that. But when they are showing us signs that they're hurting, sometimes you laugh at them, sometimes you talk about them, make fun of them. When all they probably needed was you to just sit there and listen, a hug, you know, some compassion, somebody act like they give a fuck. There's been a lot of people that done jumped off that Delaware Memorial Bridge alone this year. And I don't even understand how that happened when it's a whole crew working on there and they've been there. But that's just my opinion. It's not facts on that. So, but you know, it's our job. We claim that we love people because one day it's going to be your turn. Not to say that you're going to feel like unaliving yourself, but you're going to need somebody. You're going to need somebody to talk to. You're going to want somebody to hug you, to hold you, and to comfort you, and to be there for you. And if you weren't there for someone that did unalive themselves, I hope you remember that. We get really selfish with ourselves. And I ain't saying anything about financial here, but emotionally and mentally, we are to check on people. Especially if you say you love them and you care for them. It's our job to do that. There's nothing wrong with a mental health check. There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, how you feeling today? Are you okay? Do you need a hug? We lost touch of that. And then when they unalived themselves, we're crying, oh, with a whole bunch of shoulda, coulda, and wouldas, right? So, from Tanjanika Johnson and Blunt Talk, I would like to say, don't be a shoulda, coulda, woulda. Check on your friends and your family members and the people that you say that you love. And much gratitude for stopping by for this little increment that I like to have shared with you guys. Have a great evening.